My name is Regina. I was sitting on the couch, the phone still in my hand after hanging up. My mother's desperate shouts and cries still echoed in my ears. I looked at my son, Tommy, who was sitting beside me, quietly drawing with a crayon on a piece of paper. His innocent face was completely unaware of what had just happened. I ruffled his hair and said, "Hey, Tommy. Want all the pastries you can eat today?" He looked up at me with his big, bright eyes and gave me a wide smile. In that moment, it felt like the world was finally right again. But it wasn't always like this. Let me take you back to that fateful family party. The room was filled with the sweet smell of cinnamon and the effervescence of champagne. It was one of those seemingly perfect family gatherings, where the decorations sparkled and the smiles were plastered on everyone's faces, but beneath the surface, there was a cold, cruel undercurrent. My mother, Mrs. Helen Thompson, was a wealthy, domineering woman. She had always been controlling and thought she could do whatever she wanted. Tommy, who was only 5 years old, was a curious and innocent child. He saw a tray of delicious pastries on the table, and his tiny fingers hovered over them as if they were the most precious treasures in the world. Before he could even touch one, my mother's hand came down hard on his. "That's reserved for grandmas only," she said in a cold, authoritative voice. Laughter erupted around the room, but it wasn't the warm, friendly kind. It was sharp and cutting, like knives stabbing at my heart. Tommy froze, his eyes wide with shock and confusion. He slowly pulled his hand back, as if he had just discovered that the world had rules he didn't understand. Something inside me snapped. I was so angry, but I didn't want to cause a scene. I simply stood up, took Tommy's hand, and walked out of the room. I could hear their laughter following me, but I didn't care. The next morning, my phone rang. I saw my mother's name flashing on the screen, and it felt like a bad omen. I took a deep breath and answered it calmly. "Hello?" I said. She didn't waste any time. "About the loan repayment you promised to help me with," she said, her voice demanding. I let out a laugh, not a polite or nervous one, but a laugh of pure satisfaction. "You mean the loan you took out using my name?" I said. There was a heavy, suffocating silence on the other end of the line. Then she said, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, Mom," I said, almost gently, "did you think I wouldn't find out?" Months ago, I started noticing strange deductions from my bank account. My credit was being slowly but surely drained. At first, I thought it was just a case of fraud. I was so worried, checking my statements every day, trying to figure out what was going on. But then, I started to piece things together. I found the documents, the forged signatures, and all the little lies she had stitched together like a cheap costume. It was her, my own mother, who had been stealing from me. "I paid it off," I continued. "Every cent." Her voice softened, and there was a glimmer of hope in it. "You'll still help me, right?" That's when I dropped the bombshell. "I didn't pay it off for you," I said. "I paid it off so I could take full legal control of the debt and the collateral you listed." There was another long silence, and then a whisper came from the other end. "What collateral?" I smiled. "The house, Mom. Your house, the one you love more than people, the one where you humiliated my child." "I'll be sending you a notice," I said. "You have 30 days. She started shouting, crying, and begging. It was a complete turnaround from her usual domineering self. It was funny how quickly the power shifted when the tables were turned. I hung up the phone, feeling a sense of relief and justice. I looked at Tommy, who was still sitting beside me, drawing away. I knew that from now on, things would be different. We wouldn't have to deal with my mother's cruelty anymore. So, if this story has your heart racing and your jaw on the floor, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and step into a world where karma doesn't knock. It kicks the door down.